Before we jump into today's episode, I do want to remind everybody that we have started to add our play breakdowns to Patreon and our subscriber list on Spotify. So if you're ever interested in hearing TK or me break down an offensive play that we run, or one that one of the listeners asks us to break down, or something you see on a Saturday that you want to see us break down, make sure that you subscribe to our Patreon, subscribe on Spotify, and let us know your feedback on anything that you want to see us talk about.
How are the kids doing?
They're healthy. And then when there's Parker. So I'll give you a quick Chronicles of Parker to start today off. So getting ready for Meet the Teacher, Kelly's moving into like her new room, all these things. And another coach's wife is in there asking like, how's everything going, yada yada, and like she's obviously seen the kids around at practice and scrimmages and things like that. And Parker's starting pre-K, so how's that going? And Kelly's kind of talking about like Parker can really fit in anywhere. She's a big personality, like she's never met a stranger. And about that time, Parker walks by in the hall by herself, don't know why, not really sure, walks by Kelly and this other coach's wife talking, and just doesn't look at him and just goes 6'7".
I just was playing because I love the game. Like, and it's scary to me.
It's really easy for the game to become a job.
Below 6 in his hands, whistle in his mouth.
Man, kids out there playing the game, staying out of trouble, competing. I love it.
So,
Dude, she's wild.
Yeah. So anyways, that's how Parker's doing. So it's game week. It's real now. I know some other states have already started. We had the big California game. Did you see any of that one?
No,
it was like Union and Folsom.
I saw that. Yeah.
Where the dudes, they like bumped the coach and like got a 15-yarder during pregame, and then they lost by like 40.
Yeah.
Classic. Loved every minute of that. At one point, there obviously games like that. It was on ESPN. Games like that, there's going to be a lot of different media outlets, guys covering the game. Somebody caught a clip of one of the Union coaches, the team that lost by 40. During pregame, the coach was like walking away and was like, "You better Google me. You better Google me." And then like, it's just tough, right? It's a tough look, right? There's nothing worse than just being that confident, and then just the slice of humble pie that they got served was astronomical in size.
I mean, I pretty much just came from a staff like that, full transparency, and it's just it's just embarrassing. It's just like, oh my goodness, like what are we, 12? Like your kids are gonna act as you act, so maybe you should be a good role model.
Well, and I think that there's a way, because I think people, there's an assumption that like, oh, if you act like, oh, you're like, that's the young staff, that's the players coach staff, but like there's a way to be the young staff and the players coach staff, right, and it not be that way, right? There's a way to do it where it's like value.
There's a way to be a player's coach and still act like an adult. I mean, it's not. I mean, that's what I see more and more in this industry is like too many players, coaches, and they're just a bunch of friends. And it's like, nope. Because to me, that's no different than like the friend dad or the friend mother. It's like, and maybe, to each their own, everybody's different in that regard from a parenting perspective, but like, no. Like there's a firm hand there and you have to have it. It's like the Bible said, there's a rod and there's the staff. The rod is for discipline and the staff is for guiding. And you got to have that. And if you're just the friend, they're going to grow up one day wishing that you were the coach. You see that too often.
And the friend parent that's the wildest situation in the world. Like you're going to text, you're going to reach out to a coach, right? And you're going to explain or defend or justify all of these negative decisions, all of these negative actions that have consequences. You're going to excuse them with like, oh, but, and then you're going to, on top of that, not just ask for grace, expect grace, but you're going to expect privilege. Mm-hmm. hey, can you do this because of their feelings? Well, let's talk about their feelings and how the level of disrespect they've showed the program, their teammates, and the coaches, how that vastly outweighs their feelings. Because I care about them and I love them and I want to support them and I want them to be the best version of themselves. But to do that, I don't put their feelings at number one.
Right.
That's the most idiotic, misguided thought process ever. And that's a lot of what I feel like we deal with in the industry today when it comes to parents.
Yeah, but I tell my kids all the time, I'd rather you hate me now and love me later because I'm disciplining you and I'm making you do the right thing the right way than the opposite, which again, like I'm just starting to see too much of that these days where young coaches and even some older coaches want the kids to love them right now, so they can maybe look a certain type of way to the head coach. Hey, all the players love this coach. Look at him. And it's like, no, man, like if you're directing those kids to do the right thing the right way, which is what Coach Lee always says, you can lay your head down at night and be okay. And the rest will work itself out. But the opposite's happening too much, in my opinion, these days. And it's just frustrating because you're just going to raise a bunch of, like, I'll say it this way. From a parenting perspective, it's like Jordan Peterson said, I'm going to love you and I'm going to show you all these things and guide you the right way. But I'm also going to have to show you how the real world's going to treat you. And so, like, I think there's principles within that. And so there's a fine line there, obviously, but it's the same thing with coaching. Like, like you got to treat them the right way. You got to be very, very objective with how you handle that as well, to your point with feelings. And like, what's your process with that? How can you take the subjective emotion out of it and be very objective so you can have the process, which is winning, but also loving, and there's a fine balance there. And you have to be an adult to be able to manage that fine line. And if you're not an adult and you're in this industry, then you're screwing those kids over.
100%. And it's, hey, first off, shout out Coach JB getting some love from TK right there. Hate me now, love me later. Pretty sure that's the title of his book.
Is that? Well, I'm for sure not quoting him. So.
Yeah. But it also, like, and that's the thing, is that you can do those things and it not invalidate their feelings or invalidate those emotions and things of that nature. I had a conversation with a kid last week who made a mistake. All right, address it, move on. Here's the consequences of those actions. Ba-da-ba-da-ba. Wasn't a fan of the level of difficulty that came with the consequences of those actions. Tried to hang it up. I'm not doing that. It's too hard, et cetera, et cetera. And the conversation went something like this. It was, you're trying to control what you can control. And I understand that, right? Everything in your life is not in your control. And a lot of the things that you can't control probably kind of suck, right? Like there's some things, there's some guidance, there's some surroundings, dwellings that are out of your control, and they're not great. And so the things that you can control, you want to make those good, you want to make those easy, but those aren't necessarily going to make you better. And it's my job to love you through that hard stuff. And that love doesn't always look like a hug and a like pat on the back. Sometimes that love sounds like shut up, line up, do it again type thing. And if you're not willing to have those conversations, like those real conversations, right, that sometimes have emotions attached to them, but they always end with, I think one of the biggest things that I've learned in the past year or so, year and a half, is that we can't be afraid of that word love. Like that's a huge part of what we do, right? And the explicit acknowledgement of that being the foundation of this profession and my pursuit of this profession and my desire to stay in this profession. If we don't acknowledge that, then the roots begin to die and you lose your direction. It may, the schemes may not always line up, but your success can always stay consistent if love is the foundation. And I think that that's what has to be the point of emphasis.
Yep.
No matter what situation that you're navigating. And I truly believe that parents don't understand that that's the logic, that's the thought process, right? Because they're focused one of one, right? Or one of three when they talk to us. And we're focused one of 100, right? Or one of 103. And I think that there's a lot of layers to this that so many people in and out of the profession either don't know, don't care, or just simply have not been mentored on how to handle them.
Correct. Yeah. No, I agree. And that's our TED Talk for the night. So that's good.
So let's transition to my soapbox.
Moving
Ready
on.
for this?
Yeah.
Okay. So for those that don't know, in the state of Texas, we make our schedule in 2-year cycles. UIL does a realignment every 2 years. For football, they realign it every 2 years for other sports. But football, what we do is we schedule non-district games based off of district, and you just keep those opponents for 2-year cycles. Other sports aren't like that. They'll drop or pick up and, on an annual basis, but football is. So a lot of times you have a pretty good idea of how many non-district or pre-district, whatever you want, non-conference games you're going to need. You start scheduling those beforehand, because the last thing you want to do is be the guy that shows up to the dance, with no date, right? You don't want to go into a realignment day and then be like, oh, I need 4 games, right? Because you're just gonna have to play whoever's available, and that may not be always best for your program. But some guys take a different approach to this. The approach I've always taken, in the one time that I've done it as a head coach, is that like when we agree on something, then that's the agreement. And apparently, there's parts of the world and there's parts of this profession where that's not the case. Sometimes you tell somebody something and they say, "Are you sure? You good? Lock it in. We're gonna lock it in." That's my go-to phrase. Lock it in, coach. And then they say yes, but what they really meant was yes, unless something I would rather have comes available. And that's a situation that I just dealt with this weekend. Blows my mind? Not really. I mean, obviously I'm annoyed. Don't know if I'm allowed to be annoyed. Don't know if other coaches are going to be like, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. But like on God's green earth, I can't figure out why you would ask me if I want to play and then cancel 48 hours later.
And the reason was what?
Proximity.
And how far was the game?
I believe it's about 53 minutes.
I mean, you didn't say an hour, so it's not very far.
I mean, an hour is not that far.
No.
It is if your feelings get hurt.
Yeah, I don't know the context of that situation. I'm not going to ask you to say the school, obviously, but
even without the school, the context is that I was in search of, had 3 of the 4 that I needed. I was in search of the 4th. I had reached out to him to try and get in touch with somebody else.
Yeah.
Hey, do you have so-and-so?
Principally, it's not okay.
Right. Hey, do you have so-and-so's number? I would love to talk to them. Oh, are you looking for a non-district game? I actually am. What week? This week. Awesome. Would you want to play us? You want to play us? Sure. That sounds great. Lock it in? Yeah, absolutely. Lock it in. Fast forward 48 hours. Hey, this place reached out to me. Sure they did. And they're closer to us, so we'd like to play them.
They reached out to me. That's so funny.
Imagine a world where like, hey, I went and bought this car and then I drove past this dealership and they sold the same car for cheaper. So even though I already took this one, I'm going to bring it back to you, even though we agreed on something. And then they're just going to be like, great decision on your part.
Yeah. What he's saying is he was searching for a car forever. Couldn't find one. Ended up having to get one. And then he got home and there just happened to be a Lamborghini in his driveway out of nowhere.
Crazy.
Weird.
Horse trading.
Yeah. It's like,
so
it's actually that Lamborghini's illegal. That's how you got it.
But anyway, to me, it's just one of those universal things is like, again, it could be one of those situations people are like, nah, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. But how you do anything is how you do everything. So
that's true.
I don't know. I don't know anything else except for what I know. And what I know is the situation and the way it went down. So how you deal and how you handle that information and my perception and my opinion of that information is 100% up to you, but it's going to be real tough to change my mind. So, but I think non-districts, like scheduling those games is a unique path. I think that you have to really understand your team, and what you're trying to be, where you are culturally. I hate that word, buzzword, but I think that you got to understand where you are. Are you a place that's learning how to win, or are you a place that's learning how to be elite? Right.
Yep.
Or are you a place that's just pure rebuild? We're back to ground zero. Like, all three of those situations exist. There's gray areas in between. Which one are you? That should dictate who you play. Should not be dictated by emotion. There's that emotion word again.
Right. You're right. This is on topic, but irrelevant to what we're actually talking about. But there's a team locally here. I'm just making a statement right now, honestly. There's a team here, CPA. They used to be in our league. They got bumped up. One of the rules here, which is kind of wild here in Tennessee. So once we got bumped up, we left 2 years ago, which we shouldn't have. We bumped up to the highest division. CPA got back to running the show in that league. Well, we have like basically a success rule here, to where it's like, you're too good, you got to move up now. It's a real thing. And so regardless of enrollment, and so they were forced to bump up to the highest division, which we're in. And so, or I say we're in, not anymore. We were in Lipscomb. And so I say that to say that league is tough, because you got Baylor, which is obviously nationally ranked, and boarding school, unbelievable. Macaulay, same thing. They're getting all the kids from Canada. Innsworth. You have all these really, really good teams. And so in their preseason, you're expecting like, hey, they're probably going to take it easy. Nope. They go off. They go get Archbishop, which I'm not sure whether – I know Archbishop. They're like obviously nationally ranked every year. Tupelo, which is the number one team in Mississippi. So Archbishop out of state, Tupelo out of state, and then one of the top state ranked teams here in the state as well. That's their non-conference. So to your point, it's like, I mean, to each their own. You never know what your coach is trying to prepare you for, and so maybe he's trying to prepare them for the hard games. I don't know, but it's always interesting with to your point, the preseason games and what's the approach. Most people that are, just not tough or have a backbone, try to go get those 4 wins of the season during that time. Some of the smart ones are like, you know what, we'll go 2 really hard and maybe 1 really, really, really tough, another one really tough. But sometimes you're just left with whatever you got, which is obviously was in your situation. And then you got it locked in, and then you didn't have it locked in. So
not locked, unlocked. Yeah. No, and I think that's like you said. And what's great about it, here's the part that I love, right? Like, it doesn't matter the thought, the reason, like the effort, the studying, the analytics that go into making these decisions. The fact of the matter is, the only people that it matters to is people in the building, right? Yeah. Like, I remember being at Salina. We're in a district that's got 3 top 10 teams and us in the district. And so it's like, all right, we got to go murderer's row in district. Let's not play schools that are twice our size. Right. Let's not, like, we know this is the beef, right?
Right.
What can we do to prepare for the beef? And so you don't overload. You pick and choose, week 1, week 3, you pick and choose a battle, right? But you're not going to run 4 straight weeks of a 5A program that's got 30 more kids than you, got a couple of Power 5 kids, Power 4 kids, whatever they're called now, right? You're not going to do that. That's not smart, right? But then, okay, I'm playing a weaker district. I'm in an alignment, mandatory games that are like, they're not great. So then we go get 3 top 10 teams in 4 weeks.
Right.
Both situations at different points of the season got the same analysis from the outside world. Oh, they're scheduling all those cupcakes.
Yeah.
They're scheduled, like, because even though you're playing good teams, right? Even though you're playing good teams, it's like, oh, you're playing a cup. Dude, 2021, we played Melissa to open the season. We win. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah, but Melissa scheduling cupcakes. Melissa went to the 4th round in a division bigger than us. Right? Like,
yep.
People are just, the optics are going to be whatever they want to be based out. Like, I saw, hand to God, I read where people were criticizing Salina's non-district from this past year. They win the state championship. And on their way to the state championship, they played Belleville, who played for a state championship. They played Franklin, who played for a state championship. They played La Vega, who went to the third or fourth round, and they played Gunner, who won a state championship. Those were their 4 non-district games. And somebody said they're scheduling cupcakes. And I was like, what?
I mean,
So it's hilarious to me that like there can be a lot of this dialogue back and forth. Hey, this, that, here's the reason. Here's where our program is. And people are still going to say dumb stuff about it because they don't know what they don't know or they don't care.
yeah, I mean, I was going to say we're talking about people that don't know what a 3 technique is. So, bless their hearts.
Which, hey, by the way, I got to hang out with some of my college buddies this weekend that are accountants, real estate acquisition guys, work in the financial world, work in the banking world, work in the IT world, right? And they're all great dudes. I was hanging out with one of them, and I kind of get off on a rant. One of my buddies goes, "When you say that, what do you mean? What do you mean by inside zone?" And I go, "Do you want do we want this like, hey, we're just hanging out and having a conversation, or like you got somewhere to be? You trying to sit down for a couple hours?" And he was like, "Hey, we got time to kill. Like, give me the long answer." 2 hours later, I shut my laptop, put the huddle remote down, and was like, that's the difference between inside and outside zone.
Yep.
You're in it, right? You're like, hey, you retained all of that, right? Not going to forget any of it.
Yep.
So shout out to, I don't want to say his name because I don't want to, put it out there, but shout out to my boy for putting up with my soapbox rant.
That's awesome. That's good. You got a big game this weekend, Texas, Ohio State coming up. I think I saw somewhere it's the first time in college history where it's number 1 and number 2 facing off week one, which I don't know how that's possible. That hasn't happened.
Well, because a lot of them, it's happened. 1 versus 2's happened before, but it was, it just wasn't week 1.
Well, I know.
Remember these.
I don't know how that hasn't happened before.
I mean, they schedule those games like 4 years in advance, so that's tough. Like that's
but like football's been around a long time, so like, I mean, you would just think that there's a better chance that like that would happen. Is my point.
That's true.
I mean, weird, but that's a big game. Obviously, Clemson, LSU. That's a big one. I think LSU's going to blow them out.
I do have a question for you because I saw this. You brought up Texas Ohio State, and this was brought up in a conversation I saw somewhere in regards to Arch Manning. Have you ever heard of Bill Parcells? I believe it's 7 rules for drafting a quarterback.
I don't know.
This is one of the coolest things. I'd never heard it, but hearing it, it's like, all right, that's the genius of Bill Parcells, right? Because you talk about Bill Parcells, I don't immediately be like, oh, that's an analytics guy, right? But these are like hard, fast rules. He says Parcells 7 QB drafting rules. Has to be a 3-year starter. Has to be a senior in college. Has to be a college graduate. Has to have at least 30 starts with 23 wins, 2-to-1 interception ratio, and a 60% completion percentage.
So he's not drafting Patrick Mahomes.
He was a 3-year starter.
Was he?
Or was he a 2-year starter?
Look it up.
Let's see here. Patrick Mahomes. So he did start 30 games. He started 32 to be exact. He went 13 and so he's not drafting Patrick Mahomes.
Weird.
But here's the thing.
I get the parameters. Yeah.
Right. You know who does fit all of these? Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
It was brought up. The connection to Arch Manning. It was brought up in reference to Anthony Richardson, and it was kind of piggybacked that this is the reason we think Arch will go back.
I mean, dude, I mean, see, when it gets to this stuff, I get frustrated because I think it's so stupid. Like, because you could find a case for case in every single argument.
Right,
Like,
but I feel like you're going to find more successes than outliers, right? Pat Mahomes is the exception, right?
yeah, I guess so would Joe Burrow, I guess, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's one of those things where it's like you can say those things, but like you can't pigeonhole yourself either. Like, um, there's so much give and take within that stuff. I just think that um, when you start to kind of have those parameters and you start to obviously put those goggles on, you're an idiot. I think that you need to have there's just got to be like fluidity there. I guess is what I'm saying. You gotta have some awareness because um, to me, like what's the eye of the person that's actually looking for the quarterback? How good, obviously how good is that evaluation of talent? What do they look for? When you start putting so many things like that on a piece of paper, to me, I kind of start questioning your ability to even evaluate some talent because there's just so many, intangible things you got to look for as well. Um, not saying that like what he put was a bad thing. Obviously, he knows a ton more than me.
I mean, I think the big takeaway here is that Trenton said Bill Parcells can't evaluate talent.
No,
So,
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, I've seen people do that type of stuff before, and it's just like, okay, like so they don't fit in that box. We're not going to get them, and they're like, yep, like you're an idiot. Like you're an idiot. Like have some give and take there. I mean, it's almost like the person where he's like, well, he's not 6'2". Okay, but
you're right,
okay,
but he's 6'1.5".
yeah. You'd be surprised how many people I've run into in the college world. They're like, yeah, he's not 6'2", though. Or the big ones,
Coach,
like,
we love your offensive lineman, but he's not 6'5". You're right.
the big
He's
ones,
6'3.5".
doesn't have 31 arm. He's got 30-inch arm. I'm like, are we serious right now? Like, that's a big one too. And so, yeah, I mean, again, I just think that I think that type of stuff gets so overhyped because it's like, let's be honest, none of us know what we're talking about. Seriously, it's like, yeah, I mean, there's better guys out there that have a better evaluation of talent, but like at the end of the day, none of us
It's all
really know. Like,
it's
did any of
all
us really
educated
know that Johnny
guesses.
Manziel wasn't going to make it? No. Like, did any of us know that Joe Burrow was actually going to translate in the NFL? No. Like, and people say, yeah, you're crazy because you did not 100% know that. We're
I
all
was pretty
guessing.
confident. I was pretty confident Manziel wasn't going to pay. I mean, I'm hey, Team Johnny football, but I was
My
pretty
point
confident
is,
that
but for everyone you're confident. So there's another one you're confident. It didn't work out either. So it's just like,
hey, I remember my first one. I remember the first guy that I was like, "Oh, lock it in, Hall of Famer, Brady Quinn."
probably everybody said that.
Bro, I was team Brady Quinn big time. The thing, I was a Notre Dame guy before I knew it, right? Him, Jess Samardzija, like NBC. I was in
Yep.
junior high, like freshman year, sophomore year. Like Jeff Samardzija was like the GOAT. Should have been a first round NFL receiver. Decided to play 12 years of MLB. Fine. Whatever. Sure. But Brady Quinn, he cranked out like 27 reps on 225 at the combine. We stepped on the scale, looks like a freaking Greek god. I'm like, this guy looks like everything that should be a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yep.
Didn't pan out that way.
I guess my power statement I would say right now would be you need to have your tangibles. You need to have those. What do you look for? Because maybe that's what suits you best. But the one thing or things we cannot judge are somebody's will and their heart. And at the end of the day, those will always trump the other things at the end of the day, whether they have a lack of those, and that's why their physical abilities, which were so great, did not work out, a la Jamarcus Russell, or to where it's like they didn't have the best physical capabilities, but their will and their heart were incredible, a la Tom Brady. So it's just like we can never measure those things, and those are the things, in my opinion, which are going to obviously make or break the quarterback. So,
Do you feel like that when you build that tangible checklist, do you feel like you do that before the other? Like, do you think that there's like bare minimum non-negotiables?
I mean,
Like, and they can be obviously different than what them. I would say that you got to put a floor on like arm strength.
yeah, I mean, well, yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, yeah, like they can't make all the throws. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think you got to be able to say yes, to an extent. It's also like, okay, but how good is his anticipation?
Mm-hmm.
And does that trump some of that or not? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I think those are some of the things you got to think about as well. Like you can't say, well, no, none of these. We don't have to have any of them. Like I think to your point, you got to have something,
Mm-hmm.
but you also got to have a little bit of common sense and give and take within all of those because there's so much of that where it's like got to have good arm strength, but how good's anticipation? Anticipation's great. Arm strength is good enough. Perfect. I'm good. Hey, arm strength is unbelievable. Anticipation's not great. Perfect. You can have a ton of interceptions. Um, you know what I mean? So I think you got to have those just so you can have something to work off of. Like whenever I did my recruiting, I always had certain like titles on my Google Doc, and we would give them number, evals, whether it was like, a 1, a 2, or a 3, I think were the numbers, and whether it was like a 1 in ascending or a 1 in, obviously descending. You got to have those, and I think it's your normal things like anticipation, arm strength, footwork. Is he a dual threat or is he just an athlete? Um, those type of things.
They say Parcells had like hard non-negotiables but per position. So he would
No,
like
yeah, I
he
think
would
it's
send
great.
scouts and it'd be like, hey, there's this guy that played at like Middle Tennessee Tech, but he plays corner, he plays nickel, but he's 6'1", and they said at his pro day he jumped, he ran this. We want you to go work him out, and it's like he's not on anybody's radar, but he's on Belichick's radar.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you can probably do that more so in the NFL than probably college, because you have there's freaks obviously in college. You get to the NFL, they're all avatars, and so I think you can do that. But it's just funny because like for example, like I'd say probably I'm not gonna say but I'll say one of the best, argumentatively probably the best right now linebacker at Vanderbilt is a guy that initially nobody wanted, in Brian Longwell, who I coached. Um, and like I remember he wasn't tall enough. I actually think he had 31 arms, maybe 32 arm actually. Arms were okay. Could be wrong on that one, but wasn't tall enough. A lot of people were questioning like, is he going to be able to get big enough? And so like didn't really have any offers. And I just remember like I was kind of new in the office, and I just remember saying, "Hey guys, like I'm a nobody. I understand I'm a peasant, um, but like this kid will will himself to be great, and we need that in the room right now." And luckily, I sit on the table for him and another, the other position coach, linebacker coach. He bought in, and he's one of the best linebackers we have right now. And so it's just if I was to have those parameters, it's like he wouldn't be on the team right now.
Shout
So
out
I
to
think,
TK, just
yeah,
recruiting guru right here.
yeah, whatever. Like, yeah, how many guys I've missed on too. Where
Hey,
it's
the
like,
all
hey,
timer
this is
though,
like, go
the
ahead.
all timer from Belichick is, because Edelman loves talking Belichick stories and he loves doing his impersonation. He says that like when they drafted him, because he wasn't really like on a ton of people's radar. When they drafted him, Belichick just called him, was like, man, you're a good football player. We don't really know what you're going to do. We'll see you Monday. And just hung up the phone. And but I think that that's a big part of it. Like Belichick was all like, yes, he had those hard fast, like, hey, if we're gonna first, second, third round a guy, it's got to be,
Yeah, yeah,
or like Nick
yeah,
Saban, hey, if we're gonna offer this kid, he's got to meet, those type of situations. But they also never let themselves be completely clouded by like, at the end of the day, like
that's the key.
I think a coach that holds on to like, man, he's just a ball player, right? Like,
Yes,
look, he does this, he does that, but like at the end of the day, like he gets first downs, he gets touchdowns, right?
thank
Like I
you.
think that
Yes,
I think that there's a huge piece of the evaluation, piece of the process that can fix a lot of those gray area of tangibles when you just, is he a ball player, right? Or is he a
yeah,
front runner? Is he a guy that like, hey, coach, he rushed for 27 touchdowns, right? But he averaged 6 touchdowns a game in teams that combined for
yeah,
3 wins on the year, and they won
right,
by 60. And then in their games against top 15 opponents, he had a total of 1, right? Like what kind of competitor is he?
right.
You kind of touched on it. It's officially game week in the state of Texas. There's something like I don't know, 600, 700 football games that'll be played this week. There's a lot that goes into that. I don't really know what the normal process is for like other states. But one thing that came out this week that I think is a place that always scrutiny comes to when it comes to the state of Texas is they're starting to produce their annual like salaries for head coach lists, right?
I saw that.
You saw the Metroplex one.
Yeah.
Thoughts before we dive into like specifics. What were your thoughts?
I mean, truthfully, after seeing, to my surprise, some of these guys are being paid out in Georgia, and even Alabama. I mean, it's kind of like we could do better. I mean, seriously. I mean, I think across the board, Texas is more consistent with that pay, which makes the state. I mean, I'm always going to find ways to try to make Texas better, but I think it does make Texas better in that regard. It's more consistent. But look at some of those pay in those other states. Some of it's kind of embarrassing in regards to what Texas is getting. You know, I mean, go look at that list. I think it's maybe a year or two that came out in Georgia, and it's just like, what are we doing? Like,
yeah, I saw. But here's my question to that: is like, okay, that's the creme de la creme, right? Because that was for the whole state, right? Where's the drop off, and how much? Like when you get just outside of that list, how big is the drop? You know what I mean?
you're talking about the discrepancy between the highest and lowest.
Yeah, like
Well,
those were.
Well, no, that's my point. Like that's what I'm saying. But like, you still don't see anybody making near that in Texas. Who?
You haven't read You haven't read all the ones from this offseason. There's a coach that's won 10 state championships that's making well over $200,000.
Okay. Well, I mean, brother, still some of those in Georgia are making 3.
Right, but are they public schools?
Yes.
Were they really? I was under the impression that
I know one of them for sure. I'm not gonna say it was, but I know one of them for sure was. My point being is like that, honestly, and maybe this is just because I'm a Texas like through and through. You just never think that anybody ever even comes close to you.
100%.
And so I just remember when I saw that, I was kind of like, because a lot of people sent it to me that are non-Texans, you know, and it was just like, ugh, like.
Here's the other thing, though, is I will say that like, I think that the biggest comparison is like, yes, those are the big numbers, right? Those are the biggest, that's the top of the pyramid. But what's like one of the things that I feel so great about is that the state has taken steps to where we're in situations to where the right districts are taking care of like that next level too, right? Like when your coordinators are getting well taken care of because of what the expectations are and how much we put on them and how stressful it can be. That to me is the other step of the evaluation, right? You start getting 6-figure coordinators. I think that's to me, that's more valuable than me hitting this super pinnacle, right? If I can be well taken care of and what I feel is realistic, competitive, and justifiable within, the market, cool. I don't need to be one, just compensate me fairly. But if you put me in a situation to where I can compensate, my right and left hand man at the top of their field, feel great, feel awesome.
No, I agree with that. But yeah, I mean, I think obviously, I mean, and nobody complained. You're making well over 6 figures for those. Obviously, that list that was made, it's very, very good. And the consistency again is what I would argue makes it better than other states. But I think the other states too probably include some booster club money. But I mean, again, I think that number is only going to get higher and higher, as it should. I mean, obviously, I'm biased, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you look at like the across the board thing that you mentioned, I think is the big piece. When you see nobody in the state is like giving up on their program. You see teams that are struggling to be 4-6, 5-5 every year, and they're still paying 130, 140 to their head coach. They're still staying. They're doing what they hope is enough to bring in somebody that can really flip the program, invest in the kids, make it competitive, sustainable, build the right kind of environment. That's the part that's important to me. When you look at it and it's like, hey, yeah, the top whatever in Texas make this. When you start seeing those schools that find ways to not pay head coaches as true admin and not find ways to make their salary competitive and not do things to keep them when, hey, we got him at a discount. Let's just ride this wave. Let's not ever try and take care of him, keep him around, let him build something, provide for him. When you start seeing more and more of that list of schools, that's when we really got an issue. And I think right now that the list of haves and wants is way bigger than the list of have-nots and want-nots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, because I can confidently say now that I've been at both. Right, I've been somewhere where it's like, hey, we got, we'll pay what we're gonna pay.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna fight for it. It just is what it is. We're not gonna change. He either wants to be here or he doesn't. And like, to me, that's crazy. I had a coach tell me last week, it's like, advice he was given is like, don't ever stay for the kids and don't ever stay for the facilities. Right? Because those things come and go. They can change over time. But like, what's leadership doing? What's environment doing? What's community doing? Those are the things that should be evaluated whenever you're looking at either staying or going.